Miami, for whatever reason, got in a little bit late into the game with C.J. Bailey, the quarterback from Chaminade. And, again, my understanding is the offer that Miami recently extended to him is truly based on Miami thinking this is a quarterback we could really use and develop here. It's not just based on, hey, maybe we've got a shot at Jeremiah Smith if we offer his quarterback, that this is legitimate. Miami really likes C.J. Bailey. Brian, he's been committed to NC State since last March. Obviously, the pull of staying home or near home could be a powerful one for him. Can Miami make up ground for a potential flip here?
I think that is based on the following question. How much have they been recruiting him throughout? Like, how did that work? And I haven't talked to CJ recently. He's a great kid, by the way. I don't know. He was a guy that got several offers, but I don't think Miami was hot on him early. They just kept tabs.
Yeah.
Does that bother it? Like, he's a pretty chill guy. But some kids that will rub raw, even if it's, and I don't know which school he rooted for growing up. I assume it was Miami or Florida State because that's what most kids do in South Florida. But does that really tick him off or somebody else around him? I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody, but it is the local school. Zaquan's committed. JoJo's committed. Jeremiah, although I still expect him to end up at Ohio State until otherwise proven, is a guy that would tell him, hey, this is what I think. I think he would get all positive vibes from the kids that are around him that are his buddies and have been forever. So I wouldn't be surprised. And let's be really honest. Who's excited about NC State's offense right now? I mean, I'm not picking on them, but they have a extremely defensive-minded head coach.
Right.
He's really good at it, but their offense stinks. It stinks.
Well,
and they don't have enough playmakers.
Outside of KC Concepcion, and Brian, I've even heard some rumors, Brian, that some people wonder if he might hit the transfer portal.
I look. Can you imagine what he would command on the market?
Yeah.
$500K would be bottom end.
I would love to get him down here. Let me just put that on the record. if Miami can get into the KC Concepcion sweepstakes, giddy up.
Look, he's a dude.
Yeah.
But they don't have anybody else that excites you. I'm not saying they don't have other good players. They're Power 5 kids. I watched them 3-4 times. They're not that great offensively. They don't have a great offensive line. They don't have anything besides him that you go, okay, well, so why would CJ want to go there? And the answer to all these things is always the same, and I say it on this show and others, relationships. How good is CJ's relationships at NC State compared to Miami, and what's the home pull? That is a really big conundrum, and only CJ can answer that question, and he's obviously not standing here. So I think they can get him, but there's a lot of things to wade through. That's not easy because recruiting is relationship-based from top to bottom. They made him a priority, and congrats to NC State for seeing the long-term with him because CJ's improvement from junior to senior year is significant. I mean, it is huge. I think there's no doubt about that. And to be honest with you, CJ's the kind of kid that I think, he's got a pretty high ceiling because he's got a cannon for an arm. He just has to add weight. He's a toothpick. He's $185 at 6'6". He looks like a wing forward. So he's got to add weight. But after a year that he redshirts, he could compete. The arm won't be a problem. And he knows some of the guys on the roster. He grew up playing with a bunch of them. So it would be interesting if he came to Miami.
Anything more you can add to the scouting report? Because you've watched CJ play in person more than most, right? And in terms, if he were to end up at Miami, what could Miami fans expect from a guy like CJ Bailey?
He's the home run hitter, man. Now I know that he's throwing to dudes. When he played with SFE and with Chaminade, it's not fair. But at the same time, I mean, my dead grandmother would have thrown for 50%. But the point is still the same. And I kid CJ about this and stuff like, well, you're throwing to Jeremiah and JoJo. Which one's it going to be today? I give him a hard time or something. But at the same time, he would be decisive.
Yeah.
Even when he made an error, he's decisive. So, and he's gotten better. The knock on him is that he would throw it too hard on the shorter stuff. And that's typical. Again, he has a cannon for an arm. Now he's starting to take something off and lead his receivers with touch. Phil Simms said this a long time ago in the NFL. If you want to rack up yards, the most important play is the check down. Of course, that's the most boring play in football, but 2nd and 6 is better than 2nd and 10 or an interception. Yeah. CJ has learned that. Phil Simms obviously knows a little about football. Those are the kinds of plays where when you start to see them as a high school player, that's a really good sign for us to scout kids, because most of the guys, I could be standing there with Andrew Ivins, John Garcia, whoever it is, and we're talking about a quarterback. We're like, this kid's forcing it into coverage. He doesn't want to go to his short, It's the conversation we have constantly. CJ has made that progression. Now the question is, how quickly can he pick up the offense wherever he goes, NC State or Miami? I think he'll be okay with that. He's a smart kid, but the arm talent and the ability to adjust, he's shown it. So I think he's a guy that could be a very high ceiling quarterback.